Welcome to the Word Podcast with Autumn. Today we have a special guest, Bishop Charles Ellis.
Thank you, Autumn, for having me. How are you today?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. I love the summer. I love the hot weather, and I'm probably the only guy who plays in 92-degree hot weather golf without a cap. Bishop, you don't have no cap on? I like to get a sand, forehead, the whole face. So when you wear a cap, sometimes your forehead is nothing. I don't want to be two-toned. So I love this weather. So it's a great day for me.
So today is a good day, actually. It's a good day to golf. And speaking of golf, on top of all the other things that you have going on, I know that you are the senior pastor of Greater Grace here in Detroit. So can you just touch on the background of the church and bring us up to speed with all the amazing things that you have going on there?
Sure. I happen to be able to be blessed to be the third pastor of a church that is 95 years in existence. 2027, we will celebrate 100 years, and that's incredible. There are businesses that have gone out of business and corporations that have failed, and to think that this ministry has been in existence for 95 years, and if the Lord bless us to live another 5 years, 100 years of ministry, that's a feat. That's a tremendous accomplishment. I'm 26 years as the third pastor of the church. The church has had some humble beginnings the first 35 years with our founder. And my sainted dad, Bishop David Lee Ellis, he pastored for 34 years, 1962 to 1996. And those were the building years. I mean, what you would call a mega church, 2,000 people, whatever the case is. And now we're over at the City of David, 20-acre former Edgewater Amusement Park site. And God has really blessed us to do some, I think, historical things there, and when you talk about the funerals, people that have been buried there, you're talking about Rosa Parks and Aretha Franklin and John Conyers and Don Barton, and the list goes on and on, the who's who of Motown, and the list goes on. And just the tremendous things that we've done outside of ministry, and we'll talk about ministry. But I think there are a lot of churches, there are a lot of worship facilities, but do you have something going on Monday through Saturday? Or is it just a Sunday go-to meeting place, you know what I'm saying? And I think that we've been blessed to be a real community church and to do some outstanding things outside of Sunday.
Yeah, the legacy is very big there. I know that you got the church built a few years back, the new and improved church.
20 years. When you say a few years, yeah,
20 years
I want to say a few years, and then somebody said, no, man, we've been at 20. I said, 20 years. It's great that it still looks new. I would like to think that it was built right. It was built to last. Right now, we're actually doing our parking lots over again. There's a lot of money. So the governor's fixing those roads, the he that believeth not shall be damned roads, and Greater Grace Temple is fixing the heavenly roads, and that's going on right now. And, that's 20 years. At some point in time, nothing lasts forever. But I think we've gotten a lot of use out of them. But no, it's been a great place. It's been a great place. And I would like to think that a lot of people have been blessed that have never been members of the church.
Yes. So when you talk about the legacy of the church, and you touched on about the Rosa Parks funeral, like the historical, I know it's many more, but I just wanted to touch on that one. So how did that feel to you?
Yeah, go ahead. That was a moment in time, I believe, because I don't believe ever you would have that many individuals and from various different places to gather in one place, and that's what made it a very significant thing. You had the who's who of civil rights, because she was considered the mother of the modern day civil rights movement. You had 134 individuals from Congress that came on a government plane. So you had the political folk. You had the presidents of all three automotive industries, Ford, Chrysler, and General Motors. They're there. You had some of the most outstanding preachers and clergy of this day and time. They were there. You had musical folk and guests and that were there. And you're like, who summoned all of these people together in this one building? You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And you're like, that little lady in that casket. Okay, well, who is that? And what did she do to summon all these people from various aspects of life to this place? That's who she was. And we were blessed to be the location and the facility that housed her homegoing. It was an honor. It was absolutely was.
I was a little younger, like a lot younger when that happened.
Don't say that without giving some specifics now. You know, I was a little young. What does that mean? You were 12 or you were 4? Because you look like you're 16 now.
I was maybe, I would say maybe like 12, maybe like 10 or 11 back then, or 12.
All right, so now you fell into my trap, because now I can count, okay, 20 years, and now I can tell your age now. Okay, so I got your age now.
Yeah, so I remember seeing it on TV, and it was just like amazing. So I could only imagine what it felt like to be in that room. So.
Oh yeah, it was absolutely incredible. And as I said, you know, there are what I call Autumn moments in time. You can never duplicate that moment again. You know what I'm saying? That's when I first met Barack Obama. He was a senator, the senator from Chicago at that time. And as a matter of fact, when he became president, his first book, Audacity of Hope, he featured Greater Grace Temple in chapter 7. It was a chapter on social movement, or a chapter on faith. And he talked about this church that he went to, and it was a $36 million masterpiece. Everything was manicured, well put together, and blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, oh, he's talking about us. And then he said, and then there was this little casket, you know, down at the center of this altar. And then he gets into Rosa Parks and all that she did. So, hey, we've been blessed to be in a president's first inaugural book, The Audacity of Hope. Yeah.
That's amazing. I have to check that out. I really do love to read. But not only do you have a church, it's so much more than a church.
You said something more than a ministry. I think it's important that we at Greater Grace Temple have a vision and have a model that says we want to be more than a church, because people have other needs than spiritual needs. So what do you do with those people that have financial needs and social needs and relationship needs and all of that? So that's what Greater Grace Temple is, and that's what it's been. And I would like to thank Autumn, because we have had Jewish people in our church, we've had Islamic people in our church, and they've all felt comfortable. And I would think that that's a great testament to Greater Grace Temple is a place for everybody. And I would like to call it the community church. And I'll tell you this and then turn it back to you. My dad said to me, and this was later on in the success of his pastorate, when we were at the little church on Puritan and Dexter. I mean, this little shotgun church was like, it was a nice church building, but it was like 150 seats maybe 75 on both sides, whatever the case is. And he said to me, he said, you know, early on in my pastorate, I told the man with the car repair shop across the street, I told him, I said, hey man, if you don't have room to put cars that sit on your lot until they get repaired, whatever, just use my church lot over across the street. We didn't have a lot going on. So I said to him, and this is later on in life, I said, why would you do that? Because, you know, sometimes we get something, we territorial, don't stay off my property. You know, we put a gate up and we put a chain over the driveway, don't ride, stay off there. It was just a little gravel. It wasn't even asphalted, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I said, why would you do that? And he said, because I thought, you know, if there were cars over there, it would make it look like my church had something going on. And it was a busy place. And I'm like, that was ingenious. He said, I didn't want people riding past my church and there's never nothing on the lot. It just looks empty and it looks like nothing going on. I said, that was ingenious. I said, he would really like to see today. I can drive up at 8 in the morning. I see all these cars. I'm like, did I miss a funeral or something? Oh, no, Bishop, Wayne State School of Gerontology. They're having their conference here. I'm like, oh, I thought maybe somebody died. I'm supposed to be there and I missed it, whatever the case is. But I think it's really become what my father envisioned. And it was that under him, but now to a whole nother level. I mean, there's just always something going on there, Monday through Saturday.
That's amazing. So because your dad was a bishop and a pastor, do you feel that you were designated to follow in his footsteps, or is this something that you wanted to do?
Well, you can use the word designated because somebody, you know, kind of like laid this for you, or you could use the word destined, you know, and I don't think I was designated to be a pastor. I believe I was destined to be a pastor because of where I am and because of what is going on. And, you know, I always wanted to play baseball, you know, Mumford, Little League and Senior League and Mumford and Wayne State. And that's what I wanted to do, you know. But, you know, ministry became, I'll tell you, Autumn, I didn't want to be a preacher. You know, it wasn't until way later on because I watched my dad preach and I would say, how does he know what to say? I mean, because, you know, back then they were preaching for an hour. You know what I'm saying? I I ain't got nothing to say for an hour. Like, how can you think of what to say for an hour? And he just be going and going. I'm like, and back then they didn't have a lot of notes and all that kind of stuff. I'm saying, I can't do that. You got to do that every week, man. You got to be talking and the folks sitting there waiting and saying, hey, man, but you got to have this thing for a whole hour. I'm like, I don't even know that much to talk about for an hour. And it's amazing. 26 years in, I'm like, wow, are you kidding me? I'm doing this.
Yeah.
I'm doing this for real, So I think that I was destined to be here. Yeah, absolutely. But designated, I don't think I was designated to be here.
Yeah, that's amazing. Watching people grow up and their parents and the foundation that their parents lay out, that's always like a big question of mine when I talk to people. Like, was this something that you wanted to do? That's just always a question that I like to always ask people, just, because you have so much going on. Like I know that you graduated from Wayne State, right?
Wayne State, and they changed the name from Tartars, which I never knew what that was, to Warriors. So now it's the Wayne State Warriors. And I'm like, we were the Wayne State Tartars when I was there. And I never even looked up what a Tartar was. So I said, yeah, I'm Warrior strong, But Wayne State, those were some great years. As my son Charles would say, they were way too many years for me. I'm not going to talk about how many years it took me to get my accounting degree. Let's just say I was there more than 4 years, And my son said, Dad, you was there forever. I'm like, I wasn't there forever. But it did pretty well if it helped you to go to Michigan State and pay your bills. So Wayne State got it going on. But no, those were some great days. And when I look at that campus now and see all that they're doing, it is tremendous. Wayne State has really become a powerhouse university in the state of Michigan. So I'm proud to be able to say, no, I'm not from the big house and not go green, go white. Yes, but I am Warrior strong.
Amazing. Have you had the chance to go back and see the new campus? I know they've expanded it.
Yeah, I've gone back. I've seen the baseball field, football field. The Pistons helped to finance from what I understand, the basketball auditorium, not auditorium, but basketball arena, whatever the case is there. No, they've done some tremendous things, and certainly I have a great relationship with the president there.
Amazing, that's nice.
Absolutely,
nice.
But now Mumford, that's the school I go back to all the time because my high school experience. I'm telling you. My high school experience was the experience where I really gelled with kids. Because in college, everybody goes their own separate ways and you get to pick your own classes. In high school, kind of like they determine what classes, so you get to have classes with people, the same people for 3 years. When I was there, it was 3 years. And junior high, which is middle school, was 3 years. So that was really my bonding time with kids and stuff like that. And I would tell you, Mumford, man, we had Pastor Bishop Baker Fan, we had the Winans, the Clark sisters, Fred Hammond, most of Commission, the Brinkleys. I mean, Mumford had it going on. You hear what I'm saying? Jerry Brockheimer, who did Beverly Hills Cop. That's why Eddie Murphy, when you go back and watch the movie, he has a Mumford Phys Ed t-shirt on during the whole movie.
I gotta check
Is that Mumford from Detroit? What other Mumford would it be? Absolutely it was. So everybody now, when Beverly Hills Cop came out, they like, people would ask about the town. You go to Mumford, that school to be, yeah. You didn't go, you went to Cass. Be proud of it, okay? No, everybody couldn't go to Mumford, so some people had to go to Cass. Renaissance, like my wife, but Mumford is still the school.
I went to Cass.
You went to Cass?
Yes,
like I said,
did.
Everybody couldn't get in Mumford. So somebody had to go to Cass and King and Renaissance because, everybody wasn't Mumford quality, you know what I'm saying? My wife said, you couldn't get in Renaissance because, we had to take tests. I said, yeah, we had to come over there and protect y'all because y'all were nerds, you know what I'm saying? So whenever you got in trouble fighting, get some people from Mumford over here. We'll be over there to handle it for you. Mumford was a great school, though. We had a great time.
Oh, that's amazing to hear. I mean, everybody got their story behind their high school and how they feel about Mumford, Cass, and King.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think there were more church kids. And I mean, they're church kids at every school. Everybody went to church back in the day. But Mumford we had the second floor, whole corner of like 50 lockers. You know what I'm saying? It was the Wine and the Clark sister, Church of God in Christ, the Apostolic, we were all there. And some of the other kids said, hey man, you have to get your lockers that first day of school, So everybody, Leave that corner alone. That's all the church kids. Okay? Ain't no weed over there. Ain't no nickel bag and all that over there. And we put a sign up and called it the Amen Corner because it was a whole corner of lockers on the second floor in Mumford. And we actually called it the Amen Corner. And I mean, Greater Grace was like a big church back then. So we might have had like 12 kids from our church, which was kind of like unheard of, 12 kids from one church at a high school. But then all the other churches, all them kids, they wanted to hang with us because we had a little bond and, and we wasn't cussing and all that kind of stuff. So it was a place where we could, try to act bad, but we knew, hey, we church kids, okay?
Yeah.
So, but those were my great years, 73 to 76 at Mumford. Absolutely.
Yeah, so what would you say some of your biggest accomplishments? I know that you have a lot of accomplishments, and we'll sit here all day talking about your accomplishments, but if you had to choose 3 accomplishments, like 3 of your biggest ones, what would they be?
Woo. If I don't say my wife, this whole podcast is going to get shot down. So since you're giving me 3, let me give you 3 outside of the greatest one, which is my wife, okay? I got that straight. So let's talk about, I think my education. I think my accounting degree has served me well in as much as what Greater Grace Temple has, what it does, and the business part of Greater Grace. Once you get done with Sunday, it's all about business. Now, what did you receive in those buckets and those white envelopes? Mm-hmm. Now, can you pay all these bills? You know what I'm saying? And can we have church tomorrow? And 26 years later, you got what I'm saying? So I think my education served me well. I think that accounting degree, it really served me well. And after that, I would say my ministry, that has been, I didn't grow up wanting to be a preacher. I grew up wanting to be a baseball player. But I think my ministry has served me well in being able to contribute to our organization, Pentecostal Assemblies of the World, and to be one of the youngest bishops that had ever been elected at that time outside of our founder, and to rise to the highest level in that organization at a young age of 52 years old, presiding bishop. So I think that allowed me to bring some change to the organization that is over 100 years old. We elected a first female bishop and bishops under my tenure as presiding bishop. We were able to go on national television, with our conventions, with the Word Network, sister here of the podcast here. Those were some outstanding, I think, accomplishments. Able to put things on sound footing. When I left after 8 years in 2018, we had $1.3 million in the bank, something unheard of. We were always kind of just, making it from convention to convention. That's probably number 2. And let me say, these are the 3 outside of my wife and my children, and hopefully grandchildren that are on the way. But anyhow, that's a whole nother something, buddy. But anyhow, let's get now to number 3. I think number 3 would be being able to impact people's lives in a positive way. I think that's it. Because if you're living and all you have as accomplishments is you made all the money in the world, and you lived in a great neighborhood in a gated community, and you drove the finest automobiles and were wearing tailor-made clothes, and blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, those are accomplishments. If those are your greatest accomplishments, then you might want to rethink that. I think that the 3rd would have to be being able to look at the people whose lives I've changed and people that I've helped to figure things out and to cut the light on in the midst of somebody's darkness. And Dr. King, his song, not his song, but the song of the church that he quoted often, if I can help somebody, as I pass along, if I can cheer somebody with a word or a song, if I can steer somebody from going wrong, then my living will not have been in vain. And I think that's my 3rd. Hopefully when I leave here, somebody will point to that casket, that box, and say, hey, if it hadn't been from that guy right there, I'm telling you, man, I wouldn't be the person I am, and they would be saying something positive, So I think that's my 3rd.
I like to hear that. I like the fact that you pointed out your wife. That's amazing. I did want to touch on her. I just wanted to say,
Man, I can't have no interview without even want to talk about my wife. She just gets in it. But hey, I'm glad to be connected to a very outstanding, a very powerful, and we'll talk about her. So I'll let you ask questions. But yeah, she got it going on. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah, she does. I mean,
I just said she did. You didn't have to. You didn't have to confirm that. You got somebody on your side, sweetheart. Anyhow, go ahead.
Just how important is it to have a team, like have a teammate, to have a partner, just within all the success, outside of the church and inside the church as well?
I will say that I didn't get married until 30 years old. So I did a lot of dating, and I never promised anybody that this was leading to marriage. And nobody can say that I was dating them saying, hey, we gonna get married, whatever. I was just dating people. And when I married my wife, I think that she's God ordained for me. We had things in common. We were both raised the same way, church-wise and house-wise, not housewife. But same way she was raised, I was raised. I mean, your parents were your parents, and the kid was the kid. You talk back, and you couldn't do this, couldn't do that, couldn't be smoking up in here and drinking and all that kind of stuff. So okay, if we have some kids, which I'm hoping to have, we have the same kind of thought process on how we're going to raise these, so we don't have confusion in the house. When Mama said I could, when Dad said I couldn't, now you got confusion. So that was great. She was a graduate of Michigan State University. She didn't get into Wayne State. No, so she had to go to Michigan. She had to go to Michigan State because she didn't cut it for Wayne State. But anyhow, I would say that one of the things I said to her, in order for this house to be successful, everybody in this house has to be successful. And I hope that she understood me saying, I'm not here for you to live in my world. And I'm not here to tell you what you can and can't do. Your father paid a lot of money for you to go to Michigan State. My parents paid a lot of money for me to go to Wayne State. They didn't pay all that money for me to get in covenant with somebody who was going to direct my life and who was going to dictate to me. You got what I'm saying? So I said that. You're not marrying a dictator. You don't have to ask me to go places. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You're a grown person. You know what I'm saying? And I'm marrying you and I'm trusting you. So that's the kind of relationship that we have. And I made that clear front on. And I said that to my children as well once they were old enough to to feel things out for themselves. Listen, don't wait to get my car when I'm dead, okay? I plan on driving my car for the next 100 years, okay? So get you some education, get you a job, get you some money. Guess what? We both can have the same car, you know what I'm saying? This is a funny story, true story. I'm driving my kids, and I think at this time I had a Mercedes. And Buddy was maybe about 6 years old, Kiara was probably 8. And Buddy was running the conversation, and both of them in the back seat because nobody's old enough to sit in the front seat, So I'm driving. And I hear them talking about my car, you know what I'm saying? And it was a Mercedes, a very nice Mercedes. And Buddy's telling Kiara that, because I had 2 cars. He's telling her, Kiara, you gonna have to get the other car because this is gonna be my car. And I'm saying, am I dead? Are they back there discussing, do I exist or am I dying tomorrow? Because they divvying up my stuff, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, this car the wheels will be run off by the time you get to driving, whatever. But I said to them when they were old enough that, listen, in order for this house to be successful, everybody in the house has to be successful. And as I look, I'm very proud of Kiara and Charles IV. We call him Buddy. I think that they're both educated. She was U of M. He was Michigan State. He's got his master's at Wayne State. So he finally got it right, so they're very successful in their own right. He's an accountant. She's in Mary Kay like her mom, and we didn't tell them what to get in. I never told my son what to get in. He got his bachelor's in finance, and then went to Wayne State and got his master's in accounting. And what you said, sometimes your kids, the greatest mentor and the greatest role model is the parent. Because that's who you see every day. Mm-hmm. You like them early on, and hopefully you'll continue to like them when the rules come in, you know what I'm saying, and you don't get everything you want. But I think that's a testament to my wife and myself, that our kids are kind of following in our footsteps, and I never had one conversation with him about becoming an accountant. It's just what he did, They're both working in the ministry. Neither one of them are preachers or ministers per se. But both of them are very active in the ministry in their own right. And, I think that maybe that statement could bless somebody that's watching us. because sometimes, people want to do stuff but don't think they can or think they need approval. And I'm not here to run anybody's house,
Yeah.
If you need to get permission, get permission, you know what I'm saying? Well, Bishop Ellis said, no, don't say what Bishop Ellis talking about his house and his house. But I said that to my wife. Listen, I'm not here to stop you from being anything. You can be everything that God wants you to be, because I plan on being what God wants me to be. So I would hope that has helped to free the house for everybody to hear from God and to move in that direction, as long as it doesn't bring conflict and confusion to the house, if you understand what I'm saying. Because God's not the author of confusion. All right, so if you got confusion, somebody ain't hearing from God, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But hopefully that statement was saying to my wife and to my children, I'm here to help you to be who you want to be, and you don't have to live in my shadow, and you don't have to do everything I do.
Yeah, I do agree that growing up, your parents are the leader of the household. That is who you see every day. So sometimes it's, you might be just good at it because, or you see your parent doing so well at it, maybe you want to try it. I don't know if a kid will ever, a child will ever admit that, but I did watch my mom get up and stay strong and go to church. So like I'm kind of somewhat following in her footsteps too. So I can say that is a true statement what you said.
Now, did you grow up in a 2-parent household?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so you grew up with your mom.
Yes.
Okay, all right. And again, you have to, none of us sometimes as kids get to pick how things play out. You know what I'm saying? Because you're just born into a family, and now, you go with the flow. And you don't have nothing to do with who takes you home from the hospital. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You just end up I have a minister, one of my associate pastors, one of my assistant pastors, and she told me she didn't find out that she was adopted until her adopted father died. And she was 50-something years old. And she said, wow, that was helping some things, because she said she was a daddy's girl. Her mother loved her, but there was always seemingly, some kind of, I love this girl, but, you know what I'm saying, I'm not all in. And she said, I always knew and felt that there was something with me and my mom. She said, but I was a daddy's girl. And when he died, he never wanted me to know that I was adopted. And he tore all the papers up and all that, she said. And they were only to tell her. And she found out after he died. And she said she was 50-some odd years old. So we don't get to determine who takes us home from the hospital. We don't get to determine who we're raised by. So you have to make do with what you have to work with. And for you to say your mom is that person, well, that's kind of the person who raised you, you know what I'm saying? And whenever you needed, whenever you looked up, whenever you desired, that was the go-to, you know what I'm saying? And, my thing is that everybody has to make do with what you have to work with, and it might not have been the way you wanted it. But sometimes, some of the greatest stories come out of broken homes,
My mom actually, she was married and they divorced, but it was when I was younger. So all the years I could think back, it's more so me with my mom.
Sure.
That's, I guess, I wouldn't say it's not going to count, or it does count, or what. So half and half, but more so with my mom.
Okay.
So I do think that a lot of stories do come from like single parent households, me talking to people, just me, myself. You can still make it and still be someone. And
absolutely. And it all shapes us. It all fashions us. I'm my dad's guy, but I'm a mama's boy. And I'm a mama's boy proud, because my dad in the early day, there's 7 of us. 4 of us were born in Chicago. Okay, that's a project, not a project living in projects. You know what I'm saying? That's a project lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? When we come here, 2-family flat on Webb between Dexter and Linwood, and then in 65, 3 years later, we're on Outer Drive in Wyoming. Okay, now that's like heaven. You know what I'm saying? Then you move over to the Detroit golf course, in 77, my first year of college, okay, this is a whole nother level of living. So the younger 3 of the 7 of us, they have a different relationship with my dad than some of us older ones did, you know what I'm saying? Because they were in the shotgun church and there wasn't money and he didn't have a salary and all of that. So he was traveling around preaching a lot to make ends meet because the church could not afford to pay a pastor full time, even though he was full time. So a lot of things I needed, like you, my mom was to go to. You know, so mom, anything go wrong at school, call the house because my mom was there because she didn't work. She was a housewife, a homemaker. So here's the story to show you how it shapes you. I'm at Mumford High School, 16, so what, in the 10th grade? Yeah, 10th grade, so I'm 16 years old, 15 years old. So I just finished driver's training. And I got this blue slip that now I can take it to the Secretary of State and I can get my permit to drive with a parent or a person 21 or older. You got what I'm saying? So I called the house and my dad answered the phone. Well, he never answers the phone because he's at the church. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, hey, Dad, put Ma on the phone. So he's like, what do you need? I said, Dad, come on, put Ma on the phone. He's like, what do you want? I'm like, I want to speak to Mom. Boy, what do you need? I'm like, I need her to take me to the Secretary of State at 7 Mile and Monica to take me to get my permit because I just got my driver's certificate from driver's training. He's like, what? How come you didn't ask me to take you? I'm like, I guess you can, but Mom is always the one that's available. I'm trying to figure out who's this answering the phone. And I'm saying to you that, you know, somebody will say, why didn't you just ask your dad to take you driver's training? He wasn't a derelict dad. He wasn't negligent. He wasn't absent, but he was moving around and busy a lot. So if you really want to get it done, it's your mom, because she's going to always be there. And that phone rang 2 times. She's going to pick it up. Now, he might have stopped by the house and had to go back to the church or whatever, but he was there to answer the phone and he's like, hey, what you need? I'm like, put Mom on the phone. Okay, what do you want? What's going on? Dad, come on out. Because I'm excited. I'm like, will you quit playing and put Mom on the phone? I got a blue certificate that says I can go and get some privileges to drive with somebody adult sitting on the other side. I'm ready to get this thing rolling now. And that was a telltale of, wow, okay, I'm in a 2-parent household, but my mom has always been the one who I could count on to be there, that I'm ignoring my dad. I should have just said, hey, Dad, can you take me to the Secretary of State so I can get oh, yeah, I can take you there. Or I'm too busy there, your mom will take you. I'm like, hey, can you get off the phone and put my mom on the phone so we can go get these licenses, please? But those are things that play out that now you figure out, okay, why did I answer like that? Oh, okay. Nothing was wrong with my house. It was just my mom had more time than my dad. And thank God he was moving about because he was bringing money in to buy bikes for Christmas and to buy skates and to buy cleats for Little League Baseball and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, when you say, you know, 50-50 or, you know, probably my mom, because that's, I put it this way, if you're laying out in the street and they trying to find out, you know, who this girl is and she can't mention but one call somebody, who you gonna call?
My mom.
Okay, there it is. Ain't Ghostbusters, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be your mom, because you know she gonna be there. And she better, all right, where's she at? You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. And that's who my mom was.
Yeah, so I did want to touch on like the pandemic a little bit, and I wouldn't say how did it affect the church, but how did it affect it, because we had to do like strictly like online church. What was like some pros and cons to the church with the pandemic?
Let me say first and foremost, and make this unequivocally clear. One death in a pandemic is horrific. Almost 1 million deaths in the United States alone is catastrophic. Okay, you can't. I don't want to minimize not one person that died. Period. Point blank. That's horrific, catastrophic. The worst thing I've ever seen in my natural born life. Okay. Now let's get to the pandemic outside of that. The pandemic has taught us some things. The pandemic has caused us to reevaluate some things. The pandemic has caused us and challenged us to take a look at how we do, why we do, what we do, the causes of us doing. And I will say a lot of that has not been catastrophic, has not been horrific. It's been good. And sometimes it takes catastrophic things to shake you or to bring you to a realization that life is not always what you think it is. And there are no guarantees in life. None of us would ever thought that we would be at a place where we couldn't celebrate with loved ones for the holidays, whether that's 3 people or whether that's a big family, 23 people. None of us would ever thought that we would be riding around for a month and a half, and you can get on any street, any expressway, any road, and it would look like I Am Legend with Will Smith.
No one was on the road.
I mean, it was unbelievable. It was absolutely unbelievable. None of us would think that churches would be empty, sanctuaries would be dark, parking lots would be void for week after week after week after week, and month after month after month. I never envisioned that I would be out in 8-degree weather on a Sunday, preaching on a 3-foot stage with 5 layers of clothes on. And I never would have thought that my sermon would be 17 minutes. An hour and 17 minutes, but 17 minutes. So the pandemic has taught us a lot. And again, all of it hasn't been bad. And I want to say one death is horrific. Almost 1 million deaths in the United States alone is catastrophic. And that's the worst thing ever. Mm-hmm. Now, putting all of that aside, the pandemic has been good in some ways in teaching us some things and helping us to appreciate some things and evaluate some things and to take advantage of some things and to get moving on some things, you know what I'm saying?
I would say that it slowed me down because life was so fast. You know, every day you wake up, you have something to do, somewhere to be, somewhere to go, whether it's a celebration, whether it's work, whether it's church. It was to the point where everything was stopped. So like it slowed me down and it made me realize a lot and it made me reevaluate a lot of things. And I spent a lot of time alone building it, like rebuilding myself. So that was the good in it for me.
Yeah, I would agree. And I'll say quickly, it slowed me down. And my dad, you know, I'm 3rd generation Pentecostal pastor. So my grandfather was born in 1900, died in 1953. That makes him 53 years old when he died. You know, you look at those black and white pictures, you know, sometimes they're a little hefty, you know, and you're like, okay, all right, it's granddad, okay, blah, 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 blah. And then you start getting toward 50, and you're like, 53 is young. My dad died at 60 in 6 months. And now I'll be 64 in a couple weeks or whatever, July 8th. July 8th I did. Did I tell y'all July 8th? Which camera is it? Did I tell y'all July 8th? Okay. Oh, there it is. Yeah, July 8th. So I just wanted a shameless plug. Cash App, $ Bishop Ellis. Anyhow, now let's get back to July 8th. At 64, Autumn, I'm not sure I saw it coming. Because when you have a granddad that died, you know, he was a preacher and lived a fast life, you know, fast-paced life and carried the weight of the world on his shoulders at 53. Okay, 53 is a long time when you're 25. But then when you're 48, 53 is around the corner. So now when you're 55 and your dad died at 60, you start like, okay, man, do I have, you know, what kind of time I get, you know? Now I'm 64, I'm like, okay, my dad got 7 years more than his dad. I'm looking for more than 7 years. You know what I'm saying? 67 is not my end, no kind of way, right? So I'm looking at being here for around 90 years, whatever the case is. But I will tell you this, I watched my dad go. And he was everything to everybody. And he was serving in every capacity. He rose to the 2nd highest level in our organization, assistant presiding bishop. He died when he was assistant presiding bishop. And he probably would have been the presiding bishop after that term was up. I rose to the highest presiding bishop, serving on different boards, Detroit Medical Center, the Detroit Zoological Society, the list goes on and on, corporate boards I serve on. I mean, I'm here, I'm there, I'm all over the place, and I keep saying, and I said when I came into it, Autumn, hey y'all, listen, I'm not gonna try to do like my dad. I'm slowing it down, I'm taking it easy. I just can't be everywhere. Can't go to everybody's birthday party, and you can't go there. I was doing that and more. Till my mom told me like 5 years into my pastor, she said, "You said you wasn't gonna be like this." I said, "No, Mom, I'm not." She said, "You worse than your father." I said, "Am I?" She said, "You are worse than your father." I'm like, "Oh my God." And I tell you what the pandemic did for me, like you, it slowed me down. I mean, there's no place to go. And now, when I would go to preach in wherever, let's say in Little Rock, Arkansas, let's say in Birmingham, Alabama, let's say anywhere down south, if it's a smaller city, you got to change planes in Atlanta. God knows, Hartfield, Jackson, oh my God.
That airport is
Woo,
ridiculous.
it is, no, ridiculous is not a word. You got to Google me a bigger word than that, okay? All right, catastrophic, At the end of the day, it took me, when I'm leaving the church, my office, because I'm trying to work, I'm a business guy. So I'm trying to work. So there I am working, and I get out of there maybe at 1:30, head to the airport, get on the plane, go and change planes in Atlanta, and get there at 6 o'clock. And then I have enough time to choke down a salad or whatever, because they're picking me up at 7:30 for service. Then I minister. Then after minister, I sell my books and my CDs and DVDs. Do they have those anymore? Oh. But anyhow, they put the tape man out of business. I mean, he's gone now, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So now I'm selling all my stuff, I'm signing my book, and then people telling me they enjoyed the message, blah, blah, blah. Then I go to bed. Then I get up at like 5:45 in the morning, because I'm catching the first flight out. So I can be back in my office, because I'm working the whole day, you know what I'm saying? So there I am, and I'm like, wow. It took me a day and a half to do maybe an hour and a half in terms of my ministry, my prayer at the end, my selling my books and stuff. Hour and a half. I said, it took me a day and a half to go someplace and do something an hour and a half. Now, with that, with this, hey, Bishop, I need you to do a presentation. I don't even have to get dressed. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Y'all don't even know whether I have pants. I do have pants. I do have pants on. All right. Now, I can just sit there in front of that, and guess how long it takes me to do a 40-minute presentation? 40 minutes. And go right back to doing what I'm doing. Don't have to go and get up early in the morning, wake up cold, blah, 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 blah. You don't have to hear this night, you're there the next night. And one time, Autumn, I was trying to get in the hotel room, and then the key was in. I was shaking the handle, and I heard, "Who's at my door?" I'm like, "Oh my Jesus." Autumn, you laughing. I went running down the hallway. I'm hitting the elevator. I'm like, oh, I was on the 5th floor yesterday in Atlanta. Okay, now I'm in Jackson, Mississippi. I mean, that's moving a whole lot. You got what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And the pandemic, it slowed all that down. I mean, early on when we closed the sanctuary and we weren't doing outdoor services, because first we just closed it and we were blessed to be on TV. I was waking up on Sundays like, what do I do? Because for 60-something years, I go to church on Sundays. It's not that I know some Sundays. I go to church every Sunday. I'm looking now, and every Sunday that I've been in Detroit for 26 years of pastoring, guess where I've been? I've been in Greater Grace Temple. I've been blessed not to be sick, not to ever have been down. I never had a bug. I never had a virus. I never had anything. The guys running this thing, they know Bishop is there. At early service 7:30, at 7:05, at 7:45, he coming through that door. 11 o'clock service, 11:08, he coming through that door. Every Sunday. There's not nowhere to pastor, you know what I'm saying? If I'm not there, you know I'm not there because I'm telling you a week before. I'm telling them, get y'all behind the church, okay? I'm telling Bishop, I heard Bishop, and no, Bishop said he wasn't gonna be there, but we gonna be there. But anyhow, I've been blessed. So I was waking up, Autumn, and I was like, what do I do today? I'm watching myself on TV 38, sister station of this station. And I'm like, okay, now what do I do? I don't know what to do, because church has been a part of my life, period, point blank. And now, we simplified things, Autumn, with a 10 o'clock service. Now that we've gone back in the sanctuary, we were out for 18 months, the winter, the whole 9 yards. So we've been back now since the first Sunday in November last year. And I will tell you, 10 o'clock is working well. Everybody is well behaved. We've never had to close and open back up. Our protocols, everybody's adhering to them. Everybody's being respectful, and it's working. I would hope that at the end of this, people would look at Greater Grace and Bishop Ellis' model and say, man, they got it right, man. They never had no breakouts in Greater Grace and blah, 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 blah. And I tell you, I'm up in my office because we were out and walking out at 11:30 up the aisle and outside. And I'm like, let me go see who's winning the Lions game or how much they losing by. And I'm like, game ain't even on yet. I'm like, oh my God. I'm out of church and it's not even 12 noon. Wow. I tell you though, I like it. I like it. And maybe sometimes God has a way of, like you said, life is not that fast. And you don't have to get in the hustle and bustle. Sometimes you burn yourself out. So I'm embracing it. I'm embracing it and making the most of it.
You probably get to do a lot of more things that you might have always wanted to do but didn't have the time to do. So I look at it that way as well.
Yeah, and let's say it this way, Autumn. Yeah, didn't have the time to do, and sometimes didn't take the time to do. Because sometimes we put stuff on ourselves, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I tell people all the time, when they say, God won't put no more on you than you're able to bear. I say, but that ain't got nothing to do with the stuff you put on yourself that you're not able to bear. So I've learned now that I have time to do things I didn't have and to take the time to do the things that I probably need to do.
Well, I love to hear that. That was a good story, actually.
Thank you.
To know that I wasn't alone,
No.
that I felt like I know that physically that I wasn't alone, but to mentally hear it from someone else, so that was good. So what are like some of your goals for the rest of the year? We're halfway into the year. The world, I would say, is getting somewhat back to normal. What do you plan to accomplish before the end of the year?
I plan to get back in, by the end of the year, I plan to get back into our major production. Next year we'll certainly be doing the Whip, Hammer, and Cross, I believe, packing the sanctuary out. I've been able to go to the music hall, to some productions, Lion King and the Harlem Dance Theater. I've gone to the music hall to see some things or whatever, and to the Fox. So I see people are getting back out. In some of these places you have to have your mask on, which we still at Greater Grace, you have to have your mask on during worship service. But I think I'm going to get back into our Christmas production of Graceful Christmas. For the first time, I believe, in the history of our church, we had a paid production at the church that we sponsored. Now, people rent the church all the time and charge tickets, but for all of my productions, we never charged anything. We just took offerings. But we did a Christmas production, 2019, a Graceful Christmas. Donkey, sheep, we brought a camel in, it was a whole 9 yards. Angels were flying, the lighting, the theatrics and all of that. It was absolutely, we brought Regina Bell in as our guest artist, and we did it 2 nights. We did it that Friday and Saturday evenings before Christmas, which I think at that time was on a Wednesday or something like that. It went well. It went very well. And so we're looking at this Christmas, hopefully, we put the team together. We started meeting, check and see about your dancers, Gail, Dorico, check and see about choir members, blah, 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 because I think I want to get back to major productions. I think we're ready to get back and we can do it safely, let people wear masks or whatever the case is. But it was a great production. And for our first paid production, it went well. So I think that's what we want to do the end of the year. I see people at soul food restaurants and all that. Bishop, I came out, man, y'all brought that camel in. I like to lost my wig. I said, don't lose your wig. I ain't never seen no camel in church. You had people flying. I said, hey, listen, we want to bring first class productions to the neighborhood, where people can't afford to pay $69.95 and can't afford to pay $100 and all that kind of stuff. And then you got to pay for parking, all of that. So I hope I can get that done this year, maybe to hell and back, and the Whip, Hammer, and Cross next year. Whip, Hammer, and Cross is always on Good Friday, and to hell and back is always like the Friday night before Halloween. So we look to do some productions, get the Christmas production going back the end of this year before Christmas. And then next year, continue on now with our conferences and all of that. Right now, we're just doing Sunday services, 10 o'clock, and it's going well.
Nice. So I know that soon we do have to wrap things up. I was just wondering.
All right, so get golf in there because I don't want to wrap things up about talking about golf now. So Ashley said, Bishop, I hear you're a golfer. How's your golf game?
Yeah, I was about to add, that was my last question about golf.
Oh,
I've never golfed.
Is that so?
No, I never did. But I tried to be a caddy when I was younger.
Okay.
Like I tried maybe like.
Okay.
I probably didn't get far, but.
Was it because you couldn't carry that heavy bag for them 18 holes in that hot sun?
That's true, but that's a different type of sport. Like it's patience. That's all I know.
Okay. All right. And I will say to you that I want to talk about golf, and I want to talk about my new single that's out, Done For Me, that I'm leading. But yeah, we can talk about golf quick. We moved on the golf course in '77. That was my first year at Wayne State. I'm playing baseball, and after baseball was over with, we started playing softball. I never even went back there to look in the backyard, look at, folk hitting the ball. I see them in the carts and riding by, whatever. It wasn't even on our radar. And of course, Tiger Woods, let's be clear. He brought it to the attention of a lot of African Americans, and African Americans started getting into golf like 90 going north. Everybody got 2 sets of clubs, can't even play. You know what I'm saying? But Tiger Woods, they owe Tiger Woods money to this day. You know what I'm saying? Everybody made a lot of money in golf because of Tiger Woods, because he brought a whole new audience. Blacks were in, but not like we are now. You know what I'm saying? 3 Saturdays ago, I got my first hole-in-one. And listen, a lot of pros ain't got a hole-in-one. I got a hole-in-one. My name is on the board at Detroit Golf Club. First black in the club. And that club was 123 years old. Started in 1899. And Coleman Young was the first black in the club, 1982. Not only are we in there, we on the wall. I'm on the board. Got my hole-in-one. It was 149 yards. I hit a pitching wedge. And it was on our south course. We got 2 courses there. It was on the south course, a par 3, hole number 12. So listen, I'm talking about golf. I'm getting it in some kind of way. Bishop, you're going to be talking about that hole-in-one for probably the whole year. We're talking for the rest of my life. I don't know whether I ever get another one or not. But yeah, I got that. But I did want to say something about our new single.
I seen that, the video.
Yeah. How you like it?
I love it.
Tell me the truth.
I do. I just was thinking to myself, like, you're just so talented. Like me and one of my friends.
Operator, we need 1 more hour for this. Hey, I like where this thing is going here, so can you extend that time just a little bit? No, I was a drummer, professional drummer. I played for Donaldville's Corliers, one of the great choirs back in the day, and we recorded 5 albums. If you ever hear songs like If God Is Dead, He Would Not Come Down From the Cross, I'm on all of those songs. You Don't Know Me Yet. I'm on all those albums. If you look at the back of those albums, somebody brought me some of those albums, and I keep them for historic value. You look on the back, Chucky Ellis percussions, Charles Ellis drums, and I had a great time and a great season as a drummer. I never considered myself a singer. I sing because every preacher needs to be able to carry a tune, if you want to set the atmosphere for your message or whatever the case is. But no, we were blessed during the pandemic. Another good thing came out of it. We recorded 9 songs. So we got a project out. It's Greater Grace Temple Worship Choir. We've got people like Fred Hammond featured on it, Crystal Rucker featured on it. Paul Porter is singing with me, and this song I wrote. It's entitled Done For Me. You can download it on all the, what do they call them?
Major platforms.
Digital music platforms, right? All right, I'm gonna see if I can get some CDs to sell. I want to get the cash and put it in my pocket. Instead of waiting on those royalties. But yeah, it's out now. It's blessing people all over. And again, I'm proud that this is the first song I've ever written. And it seems to be doing well. People are telling Bishop, I heard you on the radio. People from out of town, hey Bishop, I heard you on the radio in my city. I'm like, straight up? So, okay, I might really be an artist. And we just started and opened our own our own record label. It's called Graceful Records. And so we carved out a place in the church and outfitted it. So listen, people that want to record things or whatever, hey, Graceful Records is right there. It's available. You don't have to be on our label, but we can record for you and all of those kinds of things.
That's nice. That's so exciting. How did you feel when you were recording the video?
I tell you, and again, I'm preaching all the time, I'm singing all the time, but now this time you're singing as an artist. Okay, if I'm singing as an artist, now people are gonna judge me differently. See, if I'm just singing as a pastor and as a preacher, folks say, oh man, you sound all right. But now if you calling yourself an artist, you better sound more than all right. You better make sure you hit all them notes and those keys are on tune and you on beat and all of that. So it was exciting. And when I see that video, I'm like, hey man, I think God blessed us to pull something off here. So I'm excited about that journey. I don't know where it's going to take us or take me, but I'm willing to embrace it all and thank God for it.
I know it'll take you far, just like everything else that you do.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I really would like to thank you for coming to talk to us here at The Word. And of course, if you do not mind, ending us out with a prayer.
Absolutely. Lord, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for all that you have bestowed upon us, and help us not to take for granted the things that you do for us each and every day. We thank you for this facility. We thank you for this platform, the Word Network, and all of its affiliates. And we pray that you continue to bless them and to help them to continue to make opportunities and avail opportunities for those who have a word of encouragement and a word of the gospel. Now we bless each and everything that they have done and what they shall do. And we speak that we will have good success and do everything according to your good will and pleasure. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. We're wrapping this up here at The Word Podcast with Bishop Ellis. You're able to tune in on The Word Network to watch him every day, except for Friday at 8 p.m.